All right. Just push. Let me just post. Where is it? Okay. So I haven't had a chance to uh, look at this, but yeah, wait for a few minutes and I'll start the stream. Just wait for Saurabh to join in. Once he joins in, then I can start probably. Or I'll just wait for 5 minutes. It's the default source data JVM. Okay. Wondering if I should put some tunes on. So the link to the labs are here, and yeah. So we will be doing the second one, deploying Istio for production. So this is the one that has got like this has got certification also. So if anyone is doing this, you get like a 7 questions or something at the end, and you get a certification with it that you can just put on your okay, put on your this resume or anything as such. Mm-hmm. Where is Saurabh? All right, I'm going to go and start this because I don't have a lot of time today. So let's start this lab. I don't like the screen. Cool. So uh, this is a instruct lab, and it's like a self-contained sandbox. So there will be instructions within the lab, and also it's self-paced. So there is a timeout of 10 minutes, but you can do this labs like whenever you want once you register. Mm, Okay. Yeah, I see Saurav has joined it. Yeah. Yes,
Hi,
Saurav.
hi, Leon. Hi, Leon. How are you?
Uh, so I have just shared the link. Do you have this link?
Yeah.
Uh,
Let
just
me see.
I'll just reshare it. Is it in the
Mm-hmm.
chat for you? I'll just
Yeah.
put it in the private chat. Yeah.
Cool. It's a fundamental right. Get
No,
started
no,
with
the
on.
one that says production.
Okay, okay. Deploy Istio for production. Cool. Mm.
Cool, cool, cool. So this is almost started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If anyone is following along and facing any issues, also I can
Too much
post that
like
in the chat. Is there an echo in my voice? Something like that.
no, not really. Do do I need to mute something? Is it
No,
from?
I don't know. I just heard an echo. Not sure. Uh,
Mm.
okay. Yeah. So we will start STO 0 to this. Today will be just one lab, I guess, because there are like a lot of labs. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay. So I'll have to probably. So the previous streams, I think I covered installing HTO, so I can skip that one. But yeah. Okay. So we will start by first looking at Envoy. So Envoy is basically the smallest unit. If you uh, see, it's the smallest unit in an STO uh, service mesh. So every sidecar is an Envoy proxy. So Envoy, debugging Envoy, playing with Envoy, understanding Envoy is very important. Even I haven't had a chance to in depth Envoy.
Yeah.
So I can't take a configuration and just set up Envoy. So it's a little bit hard to do that with Envoy. It's not like Nginx where you just say
Yeah.
okay this path was a bit harder to configure a lot of things at one time. So that's why STO exists, and STO is sort of like a like it configures Envoy for us. So, let's get started. So we will first be applying these two HTTP bin and sleep pods. Uh,
Yeah. It's like make little font bigger on CLI.
Still small.
No, yeah, yeah. It's little more, little bigger. Yeah,
Page is more
it's
small, yeah.
yeah.
Actually, we have told the team about this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It'll take some time to fix.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know if is this big enough?
Yeah, it's okay now.
Otherwise, I have an idea. Uh,
Okay.
this is a bad idea. It's, this is visible, right? Like, is it
Yeah,
visible
it's
to you?
visible. Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay. 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 So we can just run this command and we will get the headers. Let's say so there is nothing of Envoy right now. Only HTTP bin is being called. Now we will see the Envoy proxy, right?
Mm.
Right. So this is a sample Envoy config file. And you can see. So we'll start from the top. The start is the admin. So Envoy has an admin console where you can see stuff like logging, or you can set the debug level. You can get stats and whatnot.
Okay.
So you can just set up this. So we are setting this up to run on port 1500.
300.
Right, this is just the admin part, and to log everything to standard out. Then we have the static resources listener. So listener is basically what listens to the incoming
Yeah.
connection. So it's listening on port 1500, right? Then you have something called as filters in Envoy. So Envoy has a lot of filters. You can do a lot of things with these filters. Things like WASM and whatnot is also a filter, and
Mm.
it can be just added to this filter chain. So there are a lot of filters that Envoy has. Like I think there is the most there is rate limit and whatnot. You can implement your own filters also, and we just
Okay.
give the details. Like for example, route config is there. We give a simple route. We say okay, all domains, right? Can it will work on all domains. So this is the HTTP connection manager, in short HCM. And
Mm.
HCM is basically what is your ingress and everything, right? It all runs
Mm.
on the HCM connection manager. And so here, if you notice, we've given the domain, we've given a name for it, and we have set this route, right? And this route prefix. So prefix is just a slash, and it will route to this cluster. This cluster is
Mm.
called HTTP bin
Mm.
service, right? Now this is not Kubernetes cluster or anything.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is Envoy also has something called as a cluster. So this is an HTTP bin server cluster, right? It's got
Mm.
a stat prefix. I don't. I think that is just a statistic prefix. So any stat that comes, it will be HTTP bin underscore and all that. Then after that, we define the cluster. So in the cluster, we can define things like now, for example, connection timeout, right? So Envoy will try to connect to this cluster, right? And it's called an
Okay.
upstream cluster, and it will have a timeout of 5 seconds. So if the connection to the cluster, that's basically the upstream, right? And in this case, the upstream is HTTP bin service, and this is the same here. See, if you notice here, it is just a referenced here,
Reference.
and
Yeah.
this will have something called as endpoints, right? And you can have multiple endpoints here. So here it is now a single endpoint, and we have given this address as HTTP bin and 8,000. This is basically your Kubernetes DNS, and this is your port number on which HTTP bin is running. And we just
Mm.
gave a name for this stuff. It's called HTTP bin server. And this
Okay.
respect DNS GTL lookup is only v4, and this is the type strict DNS. So any static upstream that you have uh, in Envoy, right? It
Mm.
it always goes to strict DNS. And strict DNS is basically just DNS on the cluster.
Mm.
And you have your upstream connection time options where you can give different options. Here they have given TCP keep alive. and they have made it null. So basically, there is no value set. So we
So I
will
guess
just
it
create a yeah, go ahead.
is it is it like okay, so Istio basically behind the scene just writing the all YAML in YAML, right?
Yeah, so there is
I,
something called as an XDS server
mm-hmm.
that Envoy can set up, and that XDS server is something where you can push config to. So
Okay.
what happens is by default, if you have to change any config with Envoy, right, you have to restart the Envoy server. And now if this
Mm.
is a sidecar, you can't always restart the
Yeah.
sidecar just for minimal changes, right? So they have something called as an XDS service that is something that updates the config without having to restart the server.
Okay. Cool.
So that is now something that is a good thing. So you just go ahead and if you apply this, uh, so now we have a config map, we have a service account created and a service and a deployment for Envoy. This is just Envoy right now. It's nothing related to HTTP,
Mm.
right? So you will see something like this when we do HTTP bin, right? Because now Envoy is the one that we are connecting to.
Exactly.
Right? So we connected to Envoy and Envoy connected to HTTP bin. Right? So this output is come from HTTP bin, but
Mm-hmm.
Envoy has connected to it. So in a proxy, right, there is something called as a termination that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Your the client that you are, like example Postman or anything, it's called a downstream.
Yeah.
And the service that you're connecting to, it's called the upstream.
Upstream. Yeah.
And the Envoy thing is like a gateway. Right?
Mm.
So the only difference with Envoy is that, or any proxy, is that you connect to the proxy, right? You will connect to Envoy.
Okay.
Envoy will then initiate a new connection. It is never you connecting to Envoy straight away to your upstream. It will never be a single connection. It's always you connect to Envoy. Envoy will connect to the proxy with its own new connection. That is why whenever people run Docker with Nginx, they will always see Nginx container IP within their
Yeah.
logs, right? Because all proxies have this thing called as connection termination,
Yeah.
and it's it's where the connection terminates, right? And
Mm.
terminates in the sense it's like it will terminate there and it will start a new connection to the application behind it. So this is a very important concept in proxies because it helps you troubleshoot issues.
Mm.
If I'm connecting from a browser to something that's a long running application, right, it shouldn't be that, okay, I'm connecting to the application directly. No, it's I'm connecting to the proxy is connecting to the application.
The application. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it helps you when you're debugging issues in microservices. Like you have to know where what is being terminated.
Mm. Correct.
So that's it for Envoy. So now we will try to do some stuff with it. We will now try to change the call timeout. So call timeout is basically 15 seconds. Right? So if we have to do, I think it's called delay.
Delay 15 minutes or something.
So HTTP bin has this thing called delay. And okay, so it gave us an output. But what if I do 20 seconds? So it's 15 milliseconds and it should give
Mm.
an timeout error or something like that. Oh, it's not giving a timeout error. Weird.
Services.
Hmm. Okay, so now what we will do is we will create a timeout. So currently Onva has no timeout.
Mm.
It should be there. It says expected request timeout 15 milliseconds. So maybe this is not 15 seconds. And uh, let's try to. change the call time.
Okay, maybe.
Right. So now we have the new config. Now we have to restart Envoy. Right. Now we should see headers look like this, but it hasn't. Maybe because it will take some time. Yeah. Now it has changed to 1000 seconds,
1,000 seconds. Yeah.
1000 milliseconds.
Yeah.
So now
And
we should, if we give a delay of 5 seconds, it should give an error. Yeah. You see, it gave
yeah,
you a 504 gateway time.
I don't know.
So
Yeah.
this is all things. So Envoy has a lot of microservice architecture related stuff. Things like
Mm-hmm.
timeout, retries. Uh, you can also set up a retry. So if the connection fails like 3 times on 504 or 1 time on 504, it will retry for 3 times. A lot of things you can set up. So this is a very so Envoy is mainly very good for microservices because it has a lot of features
Yeah.
plus that filter thing, right? So with the filter
Yeah.
thing, you can do things like WASM and all on Envoy.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and Envoy has a very rich, stats. Like everything that uh, happens, it has a stat for everything. Right? So and these can be like fed into Prometheus, something like
Yeah,
that,
from it. Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
can get data out.
Mm.
So here we see like the one that we did request timeout. If you notice here, we have
Mm, yes.
done two total requests and
This time. Yeah.
one request had timeout. Right?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, in Unix we have to enable it explicitly, but here we're getting it out of the box. That's nice actually. Like the
So
metric.
I think by default Envoy does one retry, if I'm not
Mm,
mistaken, and this timeout is just setting a timeout. We just set a timeout of 1 second. So that
mm-hmm,
timeout is between Envoy to the upstream. So between Envoy to the upstream, if you have a 1 second or 1 second timeout, it will
mm-hmm.
fail because
Okay.
the whole goal is to have a timeout because you have to have a timeout because if I have 10 clients, right,
Mm,
and if my my proxy does not have a timeout, right, I
mm,
could essentially overload the proxy by sending 10 requests at a time, and all 10
mm.
requests will be active, right? So the
Okay.
moment another request comes, so usually proxies what they do is they have a thread pool. Right? You have a pool of workers that work for you, and each request it's given to the worker request base. Even Nginx does the same thing. Nginx will have like a you can configure it to have like a worker pool and you can
Yeah.
limit the connections and all. But if you notice, it becomes a little bit hard to scale when you're having a lot of connections because you have to make sure that the number of workers that you have shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
exceed the number of connections that you're having.
Mm.
So this way, if you have timeouts, what happens is, ठीक है, अभी ऊपर वाला service is not working. ठीक
Yeah.
है, we should be waiting for that service.
Mm.
हमारा काम है कि 1 मिनट 1 सेकंड में रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आया
Time
तो
out.
क्लाइंट को बोलने का कि टाइम आउट हो गया
Time
सिंपल
out. Yeah.
बट इससे और एक अच्छा चीज है कि यू कैन रीट्राई
Mm.
नाउ इफ यू
Mm.
डू दिस you see this configuration
Okay.
right it's the same config that we saw before ऊपर का
Mm.
सब चीज सेम है right
Mm.
अभी यहाँ से where we did options right so now you
Mm-hmm.
have connect timeout 5 seconds and here when you go and see you have this thing called as retry policy. Now
Okay.
we gave above
Yeah.
we had given timeout, right?
400 something.
So
Yeah.
if you yeah, so here we had given a timeout of 1 second, right? Now with this timeout, I can also configure a retry. So for example, my upstream has said key upstream has timed out. Okay.
Mm.
Now that's a 500 error. the 504 gateway timeout error. So I can retry on 5xx. I can retry on lot of things. There's a whole Envoy
Mm.
document that will tell you what you can retry on, right? So, for example, now I have a retry on 5xx, right? If I apply this, and if you notice, every time we apply, we have to sort of restart Envoy also.
Yeah.
And now let's try to call the HTTP. So now this will purposely give you a 500 error. Like in this there is no such thing as an error, but it's just a status 500. So now on the client end, you will only see one request,
Mm.
right? Remember I told you that there's a connection termination that happens. It's a very
Mm.
important thing to remember every time you make a connection to this flow. So now you see only one time, right? अपने को स्क्रीन पे दिख रहा है क्या रिट्राई हुआ है 3 बार? नहीं,
Exactly.
right?
Mm.
There is no such indication that proxy ने 3 बार retry किया, correct?
Okay.
But if we go to the stats, we see
We try
HTTP bin service was retried 3 times,
3 times. Yeah.
5xx 500 3 times,
Mm.
request completed 3 times, right? और रिमेम्बर ये हर क्लस्टर के ऊपर है. सो ये क्लस्टर का नेम हम लोग ने दिया है HTTP bin अंडरस्कोर सर्विस. तो अगर
Mm.
10 सर्विसेज है ऐसे,
This.
तो 10 सर्विस का अलग अलग स्टैट्स आएगा. क्लस्टर
Mm.
डॉट क्लस्टर नेम, क्लस्टर डॉट क्लस्टर
Mm.
नेम, और सबका सेम रिट्राई स्टैट ये सब. तो यहाँ पर देख सब स्टैट्स भी है विच आर
Mm.
इम्पोर्टेंट, लाइक retry for example 500 5xx, राइट? retry
Mm.
लिमिट एक्सीडेड नहीं, 3 बार से ज़्यादा किया नहीं, तो एक बार हम लोगों ने इधर retry लिमिट एक्सीड कर,
Mm.
सो वी रिट्राइड 3 टाइम्स, राइट? फिर लिमिट एक्सीड हो गया 3 बार के बाद, खत्म.
Okay. Yeah.
और ये बैक ऑफ एक्सपेंशन विल बी इम्पोर्टेंट, लाइक ये तो नॉर्मल एल्गोरिदम है, सुना रहेगा. बैक ऑफ एक्सपोनेंशियल बहुत फेमस है, रिट्राई रिट्राई एल्गोरिदम, जिसमें
Mm.
लाइक अगर एक चीज़ फेल हुआ तो ऐसा 3 बार होगा और फिर एरर, सीधा
Okay.
एरर आएगा क्योंकि इट्स फेल्ड. तो ये एक्सपोनेंशियली बैक ऑफ कुछ तो है, ये अमेजोन में बहुत यूज होता है फॉर देयर सर्विसेज,
Okay.
राइट? तो ये हो गया. तो ये है ऑनवे के फीचर. बट ऑनवे का फीचर्स इज लाइक अ लॉट कंपेयर टू व्हाट वी हैव सीन हियर. देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स दैट सिर्फ ऑनवे के साथ कर सकते हैं, राइट? सिर्फ एक चीज़ है कि हर बार कुछ भी रिकॉन्फ़िगर करना रहेगा तो उसको हमेशा
Reach.
रीस्टार्ट करना पड़ता है. उसके
Mm.
ऊपर से कॉन्फ़िगरेशन देखा हुआ थोड़ा थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स है, राइट?
Exactly.
अगर मुझे सिर्फ एक
Yeah.
सर्विस के लिए,
Mm.
सिर्फ एक चीज़ के लिए मुझे इतना कॉन्फ़िग लिखना है,
Mm.
राइट? ये सब तो थोड़ा बहुत पेन है. ऊपर से ये YAML,
Mm. Yeah. But exactly.
तो इसमें सब बराबर से देखना पड़ता है, कहाँ इंडेंटेशन है, कैसा है. बाकी सब ऑनवॉय में एकदम फर्स्ट क्लास. उसका अगर ऑनवॉय प्रॉक्सी का डॉक्यूमेंटेशन जाओगे,
Mm. It is also good actually somehow. It's far
तो दे
better
हैव
than
वेरी
Unix.
वेरी गुड डॉक्स, राइट? Everything is documented here. They have this hot restart Python wrapper also if people want to use.
Oh, okay.
ये HDS REST सब इधर है. Everything is there. It's all up to the people. But Istio uses this because it is this robust. Like
Mm.
other no proxy has features for microservices like this. If they have, you have to do a lot of configuration,
Configuration exactly.
right?
The plugins and stuff. Yeah.
So Envoy does this very well, right? It can do resilience, it can do
Mm.
routing, observability, security, right? So now we will just check this lab.
Cool.
Right. So the next lab is installing Istio. I have done this previously, but since we
Mm.
have half an hour, let's just do this quickly.
Yeah.
So this is basically installing Istio, and
Mm.
we will first create this namespace Istio in action. Right. These are the sample services that we will apply.
Mm.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
फिर देखते हैं pods आया क्या ऊपर.
Yeah.
Also, if anyone is doing this workshop side by side, it's self-paced, completely self-paced. You can close it today, restart it tomorrow, still works.
Yeah. It's a nice thing actually.
Okay, so we have this. I think I'm going to use Istio version 1.6. Okay, yeah, 1.16. Sorry, 1.16 is what we are going to use. So let's install this thing. So this is the Istio CTL. This is like the Swiss knife tool for Istio. Everything is there in this.
Yeah.
Export the
Installation to
path,
troubleshoot everything is there. Mm.
Istio Cuttle version. ठीक है. Hmm. So there are three ways actually to install Istio. One is the
Yeah.
CLI that we are seeing. There's also an
It's
Istio operator and Helm. But I think Istio operator they have stopped maintaining it. I think or something like that. But
okay.
Helm is there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you used Helm before?
Mm. Okay. So
Anyone used Helm
service.
before?
Mm.
Have you heard of Helm before? Helm
Yeah.
charts.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We use a lot. We use a lot. I'm sure.
Acha. So yeah, Helm charts are cool. A lot of
Yeah.
things you can do with it. So what did we apply as now as a control plane, right? So what is there in this?
It's Istio D. Okay. Hmm.
So we
It's not.
have created a HTOD service.
It's a
Here we
gRPC.
have given all the ports that are required for HTO,
Hmm.
and we've given the app selector. So right now it's only a service. There is no deployment, nothing. So now we will use.
Control plane something.
So we'll use HTO Cuttle to install. Let us see what is there in this. So yeah, so we are using the HTO operator as a way of you know installing
Hmm.
things. So we are giving the profile as minimal, mesh config, HTO meta DNS capture through. Okay, these are all configuration for the HTO operator. Okay, let's try. Yeah, so HTO has also something called as revision, and revisions are something that are like recommended over versions basically.
Hmm.
So you can have I think one hyphen like 16 with a revision, and you can do canary upgrades using revision. So you can we'll see that later also in the lab if I'm not mistaken. You
So
can
Istio
do
it's,
canary.
can be deployed like in multiple version as well.
Yeah, you can run multiple versions of the control plane,
That's nice.
so you can test stuff and all.
Hmm.
And the for the workers, I think you have to give the namespace a proper revision. So only
Hmm.
that revision will work. So you can't have like both the revisions. on one namespace. We'll just give
Mm.
a rev for one namespace. Yeah, it's there in the slab, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, we have a HTOD running. So this is the control plane basically, right?
Mm.
And we can query the debug endpoints.
Mm. This is like,
So this is basically HTO discovering whatever is there inside the cluster. So
okay.
HTO discovers stuff. So right now it's doing like HTTP bin. It does saw HTTP bin,
Mm.
and then it gives you the host name and all. Basically, it
Yeah.
builds like a whole map of services, sort of thing.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, so you can see the applications and all that we have. So the workloads are included in the Istio registry even if they are not officially part of the mesh. So yeah, so if you do, right, you can see the web API is discovered,
Yeah. Okay. That's also another part of it. Mesh. Okay. Cool.
HTTP bin.
Mm.
So now we will, so this lab will not give you like basics of HTML and all that is in the previous lab. Here we are directly going and jumping in and installing a sidecar.
Mm.
So first you will label a namespace. So yeah, so you can label the namespace like this, like a with the revision. So if you see the revision,
Mm. Mm. Okay.
right,
So
it's
the
one
injector
hyphen
will,
16.
yeah, injector like,
Yeah. So you
okay,
can just add a revision here, right?
nice. Yeah. Wait.
Okay, get and need rev. I think it should be called rev. Called
Istio.io.
Istio.
Yeah, Istio.io. Forward slash. Yeah. Mm.
So here we can see that there's a revision of one hyphen 16.
Mm.
So that's how they know that okay, the control plane is 1.1 hyphen 16 here,
Mm.
and we can
Roll
do
up.
rollout restart. So now this thing will have the HTTP bin,
Right. Okay.
right?
Nice.
So
Now we'll see the sidecar already there, right? So, yeah.
yeah, so here the sidecar is running 2 by 2.
Mm.
These
But
are not replicas. These are like the yeah, these are not replicas. Replicas will be in the deployment.
it's like rep deep.
Yeah,
Let me use
so this one replica.
the containers inside of it, like 2 by 2 something.
Right. So that's it. So
Mm.
in this one we have set up like a sample app with
Mm.
a sidecar in it. Right.
Mm.
Nothing has been done yet. So these all they just sort of pave the way for all the forward stuff that happens.
Like, do
So
we
if
do
we
we need
check,
to dig more into Envoy before, to understand? I don't think so. Like, but for troubleshooting purpose, let's say, to understand the whole architecture, and when we go for in like troubleshooting? Do we need to know in why somehow? Because later on we might need to dig into it and need to see the YAML, NY YAML or something, or
So it all depends. See, it depends on the issue. If the issue is like quite easy,
hmm,
then you won't have to go,
yeah,
extremely into your HTOD,
hmm,
we say, into
hmm,
your Envoy proxy. But it is always helpful to know what the configuration looks of Envoy.
hmm,
So if you
exactly.
take the raw config from a sidecar, right, the application is running, you can
Hmm,
get details of what configuration is passed to the application.
hmm,
So
exactly.
it is important in a way to, like, at least have basic understanding of
Agree.
what Envoy is doing.
Hmm,
Otherwise, you don't need to understand Envoy. But since it's the smallest unit in HTO, right?
hmm,
If you're debugging, it is recommended to at least have little bit of info. Like, I still don't know entire Envoy, but if I read through the configuration, I can sort of match the
yeah,
dots, right? I
like
can connect the
relate,
dots.
relate. Yeah,
What's going on?
exactly. Yeah,
So it's not like
got it.
you should know entire Envoy or what it is doing, but you should be able to know what you are looking for,
Hmm,
because there are
hmm,
a lot of filters that Envoy uses.
hmm,
And if you use things like Istio and all, right, they write the config for you, so you don't know what it's adding, what it's removing.
hmm.
So that's how you need to sort of understand. So yeah, in this lab, I don't know if we can do it quickly. Then
Nice.
we'll
It
have
also
three
has
labs
this
done.
monitoring as well, right? It also has the monitoring.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do this quickly, but so basically we are just going to set up Prometheus, Grafana, and Kiali. These help
Yeah, yeah.
in visualizing the traffic within the mesh. So Kiali comes as a nice interface where you
Yeah.
can actually see the data
Road like
points and how the
yeah.
traffic is going.
Hmm.
You can also see, like, if there are two versions of the app, it will
Hmm.
also show you like how, where the traffic is going to.
Traffic is
Or
going. Yeah.
if there's MTLS enabled between two services, right?
Hmm. Oh,
Uh,
nice.
we have 15 minutes. We have a little more than 15 minutes. So let's see how much we can complete.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
It's a
start by creating Prometheus.
installation. At least we can do Prometheus installation of the Grafana now. Okay.
So yeah, see, this command
It will
takes a bit of
come.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's done.
So if you just check this, some are initializing, some is container creating.
Let's wait. We have watch it.
Good.
Yes.
All right, then. Okay, so we will now go to terminal 2 and we'll just quickly just
Yeah.
check these services if they're
Yeah.
running.
Dashboard. Yeah.
And if this doesn't load, you can just click this refresh button here. It should load after some time.
Yeah.
Right, so this works. Then we will check the right. Grafana is also working.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. So like I don't like if I don't remember what the metrics endpoint for the Istio or something. I don't like the Prometheus should know the scrapping point, or do we need to tell?
So So for Prometheus, for scraping, you can just actually annotate the deployments,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
once you annotate it, it automatically scrapes the data. So
Okay.
for Istio, what we are doing is basically we are creating this dashboard, so we can see where the data source is getting scraped from. And if you notice here, we are labeling. See, we can label Prometheus.
Prometheus
Uh,
content map, the
right.
Istio dashboard, and
So
uh,
then if we try to go to Grafana,
it's not showing the sources, right?
so inside here you can see Istio mesh dashboard. Right. Uh, Nothing will be there since no data is there. So you can see this. See scraping the Istio service mesh control plane. The
Hmm.
reason we don't see any information is because we don't have any configuration for scraping information.
Hmm.
To
When
configure
it's
Prometheus to do this, we will use the Prometheus operators service monitor and pod monitor. These
okay.
custom resources are described in good detail on the Prometheus operator document.
Hmm.
So if we go
I
here
see.
and just see what this is doing, so we have something called the service
So
monitor, which has labels that can select stuff like.
stuffs and
So
this
this is
service.
only for the pilot pod. So only the pilot pod is being scraped,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's the only thing I can see at least.
Mm-hmm.
Because these target labels as app
App
and seems like a regular. Uh, ठीक है.
space selector and need true. Okay.
So that's basically any namespace. If
And
these
need space.
match, then you will get something
Hmm.
at least.
Pilot.
So now we will see some information. So this will take some time.
Yeah.
So yeah, Prometheus does take some time to do this. I think also to set up the pod monitor. It's taken. Now let's do some test.
Some load. Acha, okay, okay. Cool. Like, so like generate some metrics. Okay. Control
So
plane
we have a
dashboard is
control. We know like the
one.
sidecars are injected and
Yeah.
all. Still mesh dashboard. Still there's nothing here. So here is one data point. Pilot 116 Istio component. These might take some time, I guess. Not
Yeah.
sure.
Let's
So
move ahead.
nothing is there currently. There is no virtual service. There is no destination rule. So these are all not applicable.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we have to actually see the Istio service dashboard.
9 times. Client request. Uh, this is the one which Istio we did that command for loop all the thing, right?
Yeah,
to.
so we have HTTP bin stuff coming in. So we hit HTTP bin. So everything from there is coming in here. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can
Uh,
see requests
that,
coming in.
yeah.
Right.
Not yet. Like
If you go to the control plane dashboard, we should now see those HTS graphs
still.
populated. So you can see HTS request size and all this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now let's do Kiali. Kiali is a networking graph. So it's like a visualizer for microservices. It's mostly for HTO. I don't know if it works for other also service meshes, but mostly HTO.
Okay. Ali. Yeah, it's only for Istio. Control service mesh. That's
So
pretty.
the Kiali operator is running.
Uh, no.
So we can configure Kiali. A lot of things are configured here. Okay, but I guess the important stuff is that you have this HTO Prometheus stuff. So you can give a URL for this, and you
Mm-hmm.
can also give the config map for HTO, the deployed name. We are doing a lot of HTO revision everywhere. HTO sidecar injection with the revision. So with this revision, basically you can do multiple HTO deployments. So it's like a very
Mm-hmm.
good strategy for upgrades and testing and whatnot. You
Yeah.
can do a HTO upgrade in a canary mode or something like that.
Mm. Or we just when we upgrading from previous version to new one, so that we can evaluate what may break, like in an upcoming version.
Yeah, anything as such.
Yeah.
It all depends on how you want to test it. Like
Mm.
so, we have Kiali also running. Kiali is nice. Kiali is very interesting. You can lot
Mm,
of get
yeah.
a lot of so Kiali is running and to this token is asking.
Nice. And first time seeing this Kiali UI. Looks promising.
Did we miss something with the Kiali?
Let's see for the secrets in uh, namespace. Is it's installed in separate namespace?
I think I missed this there. No, still in this. We did a no auth with Kiali, so why is it asking us for auth?
No. Oh yeah. Okay. 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 So it will don't prompt for login. Okay.
Yep,
Nice.
and
Anonymous.
it should give us some error. So
HTML.
we go to the graph
Hmm.
and we can see stuff like let's do select namespaces,
Oh,
Istio in
okay.
action.
Namespace section. Okay. Categorized by name and namespace and oh, nice, nice. Okay. Security OS. Okay. Security like MTLS or so.
Yeah, security. It will show you like security from this
Hmm.
app to this app, how secure. So if you
Okay.
run the for command that we ran.
Okay.
Now I
Oh.
don't think it will show anything because we've not yet done the sidecars and all.
Mm. That's nice topology kind of thing is there, right? Like the graph, the way it
Yeah,
should
so you
show
can see here
variations.
we did this connection, and this doesn't have a lock right now.
Nice.
It's the
Oh,
HTTP
version.
connection.
Mm. On which version? Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I will show you the entire thing, how the apps are versioned, subset routing, everything is like what is deployed, what is running, everything it will map and it will show you. And that's it. We completed 3 labs.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. That's all really
so
nice.
next is creating an ingress gateway.
Hmm.
Uh, then you can add services and MTLS. So yeah, that's it. 3 labs are more than enough for today. It's almost an
Cool.
hour anyways.
Yeah. It's 1 hour. Nice.
So yeah, so that's it.
Done,
If
right? Okay.
anything, yeah.
So,
So that's it.
like, what I will
We
do,
will.
I will just try to wrap up again, like whatever thing is. I will try to, you know, जहाँ तक उतना है मैं उतना देखूंगा करके पहले, राइट? सो नेक्स्ट वाले में मैं भी
Ah,
थोड़ा पेज पे रहूंगा.
yeah, because even I have to start understanding Istio without workshops because
Exactly. Yeah,
workshop
we
एक
can,
सब चलता है यार.
meanwhile क्या कर सकते हैं, we can collect some application और उनको convert करना शुरू करते हैं Istio में,
हाँ, that also works. All
है
depends
ना?
what is the
हम्म.
app like.
हम्म.
If the app is good
क्योंकि वो.
enough or simple enough
हम्म.
to set up in Kubernetes,
हम्म.
then we can try. Or we can do some 3 tier application or something like that.
3 tier, एग्जैक्टली 3 tier वाले में और MTLS वगैरह और थोड़ा सा सिक्योरिटी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू की तरफ से, लाइक व्हाट वी कैन डू फ्रॉम द साइड ऑफ Istio एंड हाउ वी कैन वैलिडेट इट. क्योंकि लेट्स से क्वेश्चन होता है कई बार क्लाइंट की तरफ से कि हाउ वी आर इंश्योरिंग कि वो सिक्योरिटी ना इंटरनली आर इन प्लेस. सो एक बार देखेंगे कि हाउ वी कैन टेल देम कि with the proofs, right? Because sometime we say, okay, issue can handle all these EMTLS by themselves, but what is the proof, right? We can tell कि okay, the encryption happening, and we can tell okay, this is the request which payload is encrypted and so something like that. I don't know completely, but this is what I'm actually thinking, like presenting them with the proof that okay, service mesh is this one, and we have this application 3 tier application, and we having all these security things in place. I don't know how we can do it. This is like just an idea.
Let's first complete this
Yeah.
workshop. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we can cover tomorrow at least 2 or 3, right?
Hmm.
So then by middle of the week we will be free of these workshops. Then we can
Yeah.
start deploying it. In the meanwhile, I can also ask people online like what applications they deploy, or
Hmm.
something like since I'm also learning Golang, maybe we can write web apps in Golang and try to deploy that. So that
Yeah,
also is
yeah.
one
You also
option.
mentioned yesterday. Yeah, yeah. We can do that as well.
Yeah,
That
I'll
will
have a
also.
Golang stream also. I think later tonight, late I guess 11 might.
In night. In night.
Yeah, I did not get to. Yeah, I
Hmm.
did not get to study today,
Yeah. Let's see.
so I will take that up.
Cool, cool, no issue. Yeah, that's totally fine. Cool, cool, Leon.
चलो
Let's
then,
let
I
see.
will.
Okay, चलो डिनर विनर करो. हो गया डिनर? अभी डिनर करना होगा ना?
डिनर अभी बनाना है मेरे को. देखता हूँ.
Oh,
लेट्स सी.
okay.
ठीक है. चलो.
Okay,
गुड
okay,
नाइट.
okay. Bye. Good night. Good night.
बाय बाय.
Bye.